A blast buried her watch in shrapnel and her name in ash. By dawn, Mia had one mission: find the missing general. 6 hours, one rifle, no backup. Press play. Before the second hand stops. The explosion tore through the air, splitting the world in two. Heat, dust, silence, and then pain. Mia woke with the sting of gravel against her skin. Her breath was thick, her mouth full of metal. She spat, wiped her face, and forced herself to a kneeling position. The world wavered like a mirage, but it held. She counted her breaths, slow, steady. 1, 2, 3. Not dead. Her rifle lay a few meters away, half buried under a torn tarp. A cold breeze blew the last whispers of dust from the explosion away. She grabbed the rifle, checked the chamber, and looked through the cracked optic. The glass was spiderwebbed, but it would work. It had to. Her watch had stopped at 1906. The crystal was shattered, and a shard caught the light. The second hand didn't move. She turned the strap over. It ticked once. Then it stopped. No one would come. She knew that. The blast had taken the comms mast down, the radio destroyed. Help wouldn't find her here. She checked the horizon. The city lay ahead. Ruins of a once bustling place, now a maze of broken roofs and empty streets. Somewhere in those ruins was a general, missing. His convoy had been ambushed. The report said he was alive, but Mia knew better than to believe everything. They had said she was dead too once. She wasn't. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of charred metal and burning rubber. Mia moved low, slipping through the wreckage, always scanning, always listening. The ground was scattered with tire tracks and boot prints. Whoever had set the bomb wanted her to follow. It wasn't meant to kill her. It was meant to push her into the open. She paused at the edge of the wreckage, checking the road that snaked through the outskirts. No movement. She took one last look at the depot behind her, the source of the blast. It had been amateurish, crude, but effective. Whoever had planted it knew how to make an impression. She checked the map on her phone. 1 bar. The screen flickered, but the map held. The general had been taken near the industrial quarter. Old warehouses. Rusting trains. Mia drew a line from the blast site to the industrial district. Simple. Direct. Like everything else in the world that was broken. She spotted a wallet on the ground. Old leather cracked at the edges. She bent down, picked it up. Inside, a single receipt, crumpled, torn. It had been shoved into the wallet without care. She unfolded it. The faint imprint of a handprint smudged the paper. Left hand, oil-streaked. Someone had grabbed it in a hurry. Someone with a story. Mia slipped the wallet into her pocket, a small weight to carry. A shadow moved in the corner of her eye. A dog, thin and wary, sniffed around a pile of rubble. It spotted her, then turned uninterested. Mia's heart skipped, but she didn't let it show. She was used to the quiet. She was used to being unseen. The road stretched ahead, dust settling over the craters. She checked her rifle again, adjusted the sling, and set off. Every step was calculated. The shadows grew longer as dusk slid into the city. The night would hide her. It always did. Her phone beeped with another message. She glanced at it. A call sign. The general's last location pinged. 2 blocks ahead, near the old train depot. She pushed forward, moving as fast as she dared. The world was fractured, but she was still moving. Her watch, her broken timepiece, ticked once in her pocket. A reminder that time was still there, even if it wasn't moving. She reached the rail yard an hour later, a desolate stretch of rusted tracks and old cars. The ground was littered with trash, broken bottles, and spent shells. A small coffee cup sat on a bench near the tracks, still warm, though the steam was long gone. A single lipstick stain on the rim. Mia looked around. Her instincts buzzed in the air. The city felt like a trap, every corner watching. She dropped to a crouch, scanning the area. There, across the yard, the flash of a flashlight. Too steady, too controlled. Someone knew she was here. Someone was waiting. Mia's fingers tightened around her rifle. She pulled herself deeper into the shadows, never breaking the line of sight. The flashlight moved, passing behind a shed. She tracked its movement. No sudden gestures, no erratic flashing. Whoever it was, they were careful. She checked her phone again. The signal had dropped. No new pings. The general's location was lost to her now. Footsteps crunched in the gravel ahead. Mia crouched low. She couldn't see the person, but she could feel them. They were close. Too close. She stood, moving in a slow, controlled arc to the far side of the rail yard. The flashlight flickered again. She followed its movement through the scope, tracking every step. The person stopped in front of the shed, their bodies still. Mia's heart beat faster, but she kept her breath steady. She couldn't make a mistake now. Not yet. From behind the shed, she heard a voice, soft and urgent. "Where is he?" It was a whisper, but it carried. Another voice responded. Male. Harsh. "He's here. You know that." The words hit her like a punch. The general wasn't just missing, he was here. Somewhere in this yard. Somewhere within reach. Mia gripped her rifle tighter. This wasn't a game anymore. She had to move fast. She had to move now. She pushed forward, low and silent, inching toward the voices. Her fingers were steady on the rifle, her mind clear despite the adrenaline surging through her. She was close, too close to turn back now. The general was somewhere ahead, but time was running out. Then, a flash of movement, a shadow in the corner of her eye. A man stood in front of her, blocking her path. "Drop it," he said, his voice low but firm. Mia froze. Mia's heart thudded in her chest. Her hand tightened around the rifle, but she didn't raise it. She kept her stance low and steady. The man in front of her was close, too close. She had only one option: stay calm. "Drop it," he repeated, his voice a rasp. He moved in, his eyes narrowing. She felt the weight of the rifle in her hands. It wasn't just metal. It was everything she'd trusted for years. But it was also a liability now, a target. She had to choose: fight or survive. Slowly, she lowered the muzzle until it pointed at the ground, but she didn't release her grip. Her finger hovered over the trigger, ready for anything. The moment the man stepped into range, she would move. The man didn't step forward. He shifted his weight, the gun still trained on her. He was waiting for her to make a mistake. Mia hated waiting. She stepped back 1 inch. The ground crunched beneath her boot. Her finger tensed. The man's eyes flashed. That's when she struck. In a blur of motion, she pulled the rifle up, slamming the stock into his ribs. The man grunted, stumbling back. Before he could recover, she moved in close, bringing her elbow down hard on his wrist. The pistol slipped from his hand and clattered against the concrete. Mia's free hand found the man's throat, pressing hard. He gasped for air, eyes wide, but he couldn't fight back. He wasn't prepared for the speed, the suddenness. She shoved him to the ground, her knee pinning his chest. "Who's inside?" she whispered, her voice cold. He spat, his lips trembling. "You'll never make it," he hissed, struggling beneath her. She tightened her grip just enough to remind him she wasn't asking. "I don't have time for your games," she said. "Where is he?" The man's eyes darted to the building, his mouth working like he wanted to say something. "They won't let you through." "Where?" Mia pressed again. His lips parted, but before he could answer, the radio on his belt crackled. Mia froze. She grabbed it and ripped it from his side, holding it to her ear. 17 to Millhouse, do you have the package?" The voice was clipped, professional. The man's face paled. No, you don't understand," he stammered. Mia didn't wait for his explanation. She moved quickly, securing him with a zip tie she pulled from her belt. The general's location was still unknown, but she couldn't waste time here. She looked at the radio again. The voices were still coming through. She muted it. There was no time to negotiate with whoever was on the other side. Mia stood, slipping the radio into her pocket. The man was gasping on the ground, but he wouldn't be a problem anymore. Not until she had answers. She turned toward the building again. A single door led to the back. She reached for the handle, but the door clicked open before her hand made contact. A shadow passed in front of the doorway. Someone was coming. Mia ducked, moving around the corner. She pressed herself against the wall, silent. Invisible. The footsteps grew closer, and then nothing. She held her breath, waiting for the unmistakable sound of a door opening, the telltale shift of the night's air. She leaned forward just a fraction to peer around the corner. The door was open, but there was no one in the doorway. Her heart skipped a beat. Where had they gone? Suddenly the radio buzzed to life again. 17 status report, came the voice. It was calm. Too calm. She needed to know what was happening inside. She couldn't just guess. She needed a plan. Fast. And then she heard the click of a gun being cocked. She spun, but it was too late. Mia hit the ground just as the shot rang out, her body slamming into the dirt. She rolled quickly, coming up on one knee, heart pounding. The bullet had missed, but the sound was enough to send every nerve in her body into overdrive. She didn't have time to waste. The shot hadn't come from the building. It had come from somewhere above. From the rooftop, maybe.